Welcome into another fantasy football trends and reactions video. I apologize for the delay in putting this video together, but the good news is that a 2-day delay means you get my thoughts on the Monday Night Football game. But before we get into it, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and please follow me on Twitter at NateHenryFF. Not everybody can watch every game, so I'm here to give you some instant fantasy analysis and future trends from every game. Without further ado, let's get into it. Packers versus 49ers. Aaron Jones had some health concerns coming into the game, but he managed to play 61% of the snaps, which is about his season average. He was efficient in his 15 carries and caught all 5 targets. So Green Bay more or less used him normally with one exception. They never gave him a goal line carry. And it wasn't like Green Bay didn't have opportunities to punch the ball in from short. I saw Aaron Jones on the field 3 times inside the opponent 5. Normally those carries go to Jones, but they may just wanted to keep him healthy and not risk his health in those goal line pileups. I really don't think I'm too worried about this. I think when he's fully healthy, he gets those carries, and those plays are designed for him. Texans versus Jaguars. New Jaguars quarterback Jake Luton locked into DJ Chark right from the start, which led to 12 total targets. Luton will be starting for the foreseeable future, so I like Chark to bounce back from his so-so start to the fantasy season. I think that Chark's issues were more of a function of Gardner Minshew trying to play through an obvious hand injury than any loss of talent. I like him moving forward. Giants versus football team. There weren't any real new trends in this game. I mean, Gibson's usage vis-a-vis McKissick's was really the result of a coaching punishment for Gibson fumbling, which, by the way, is the NFL's dumbest and most antiquated policies. Why do teams take their best player off the field just because of one mistake? Do running backs only have time to feel bad about hurting their teams with a fumble if they sit on the bench? Why doesn't this policy attach to a quarterback who throws an interception or a center who does a bad snap? I just don't get it. This wasn't even Gibson's fault. His arm got hit by a helmet as he was being tackled. I think even Tiki Barber would have fumbled in this scenario. Whatever, diatribe over. Let's get into the Colts versus the Ravens. There isn't a ton to learn about this one either because we had 2 really, really good defenses playing each other. They're probably the 2 best in the league. Adding to this noisy data is the clear fumble punishment for Jonathan Taylor. Again, dumb policy. So let's look at Michael Pittman, who was back from injury. His usage was at least notable as he played 89% of the snaps, led the team in targets, and led the team in air yards with 107. I think he's worth a stash if he could somehow rise to an alpha type role in this mediocre offense. He could be pretty good. Lions versus Vikings. Despite the final score, the Lions had a fair share of longer drives that ended in Minnesota territory before Stafford left the game. But 2 of those drives ended in a Stafford interception in the red zone. I should note that both of those interceptions were intended for TJ Hawkinson. Then later in the game, on the 2-yard line, the Lions split Hawk out wide and scored easily when Hawk was matched up against a defensive back. He's a major red zone target, and especially while Kenny Galladay's out with an injury. Bears versus Titans. The Bears more or less split Montgomery's role between Cordero Patterson and Ryan Nall once Montgomery left the game with a concussion. It's pretty similar to the way that they tried to use Montgomery and Cohen at the beginning of the season. So I'm not rushing out to add either Patterson or Nall. Panthers versus Trends. I saw a fair amount of Mike Davis in this game, which turned out to be 31% of the snaps. That said, he almost exclusively played in passing downs, as he only got 1 carry. It seems like Carolina liked what they saw out of Davis, especially in the passing game. His role was decent, 6 total targets, but McCaffrey's talent demands more and more playing time. But I wonder if Carolina decides to play it safe with McCaffrey down the line the rest of the season, because now he's been hurt twice. The point is, just don't drop Mike Davis. Seahawks versus Bills. This was a really fun game that is going to give us several trends. A first ever 3 trends from one game. First, I saw a ton of 4 wide receiver set from Buffalo. As a result, Josh Allen was chucking it all around the field all day. They only had 12 total designed rushing plays. This was likely a game plan since Seattle's defense was awful, but I think Buffalo had an ulterior motive here, hoping to get Allen back on track. And it worked. Over 400 yards passing. I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo stayed pass heavy down the stretch because their running game is putrid. All right, bonus trend. Tyler Lockett, he had a down day, but it could have been so much better. He was tackled at the half-yard line on one catch, and he was about a half step from catching a really deep touchdown pass that Rush threw off the back of his foot. I think better days are really ahead for Lockett. Bonus trend. Jacob Hollister played a lot of snaps, the most for any tight end in Seattle. This might be the result of Seattle being down big, but Greg Olsen clearly isn't cutting it. Hollister actually had 7 targets as a result of this playing time, which is great, but they're still rotating 3 tight ends. Let's just hold on to this knowledge for now. Broncos versus Falcons. Jerry Jeudy is getting a lot of press for his massive game, which mostly happened due to a furious comeback against a poor defense, especially in crunch time. But what I want to note is KJ Hamler. He had an understated stat line. He had 10 targets, which led to 75 yards. And his 75% snap share might mostly be due to game script, but it is notable. So I'm paying attention. Hamler is a big play waiting to happen if Locke can ever get him the ball. But this game seemed to suggest that he's more involved than just the occasional deep threat. Keep an eye on this. Raiders versus Chargers. I continue to like what I see out of Nelson Aguilar this year. He's kind of becoming what we thought Henry Ruggs would be, this deep threat who scores a long touchdown. But really, I mean, if you watched it closely, Aguilar ran a full route tree. However, what I was mostly watching from this game was whether Bryan Edwards would receive his starting role back now that he's healthy. And the answer was he did not. He only played 1 snap. Aguilar has taken the role from him, and I think he'll be usable down the stretch. Dolphins versus Cardinals. Christian Kirk is really emerging now. No, he likely won't continue this crazy trend of scoring touchdowns every few catches, but he's clearly the wide receiver 2 in the NFL's best offense. Got 8 targets in this one, which suggests that he's integral to this offense. Now, I get it. The Cardinals may have been avoiding Xavier Howard by targeting Kirk far more often than Hopkins, but I still like the upside of Kirk. I like this offense, and I like the potential. I think he's a start for me rest of season. Let's jump into the Steelers versus the Cowboys. Earlier in the year, I debated whether Juju or Deontay Johnson was the Steelers wide receiver 1. Doesn't matter. I was wrong on both because it's Chase Claypool. He's always on the field. He's the first look Ben gives when he's in the red zone. Look, Juju and Deontay are both solid plays, but I think Claypool has the most upside. Saints versus Buccaneers. Awful game, but Antonio Brown played a ton right away, 80% of snaps. But it really didn't affect Chris Godwin or Mike Evans' usage. The Bucs base set now appears to be 11 personnel. I think I still prefer Godwin over Brown and Evans right now, just because. But the notable thing is that Brown managed 90 air yards in this game. So that's more than Evans has been getting. I think Godwin looks to remain Brady's favorite target, though. All right, last game, Patriots versus the Jets. Rashard Perryman and Denzel Mims got a ton of air yards. Do we care? I'm going to say no. But bonus trend, Jacoby Myers was everywhere on the field. He was open all the time when he was targeted, and he caught a ton of passes. Like, I know the Patriots defense is nothing to get excited about, but I think he's still my favorite wide receiver pickup this week. I hope you got him. All right. Thanks for watching. Want to remind you one more time, click that subscribe button. And if you like the video, please let us know by clicking the like button. And again, I'm Nate Henry. You can follow me at Nate Henry FF. Have a good week.